Hi everyone. So paper one geography is coming in about 6 days, and I thought maybe I should start with going live and sort of attempting previous question papers. And yeah, this is the start. So in front of you we have a paper. I'm not sure which paper is it, but you have your mid-latitude cyclones topic, and we're going to look into brief revision behind it. So it says they refer to the cross section through the mature. This is very important. Mature stage of a mid-latitude cyclone. So this is very important to note. Remember, for this topic, you must know different stages of mid-latitude cyclone. So in this case, you must know the formative stage. You must know the all the 5 stages from the formative stage to the occlusion stage, and you must be able to sort of draw the stages and be able to label and describe each stage. So in this case, we are dealing with a mature stage of a mid-latitude cyclone. So it says they write only answers next to the question number in the answer book. So remember, with geography, it's very important, actually in every exam that you are writing, it's very important to follow your instructions. So this will let you, or will sort of not lead you to be penalized. So it's important to follow this instructions. So if you come across a question like this, it's important. I know some of you might say it will take time, but it's important for you to really label what you have before you could even go to your questions. So it's important for you to really label what you see or what you have. So in this case, we have labels from A to G. And it is important to note, as it said, that this is a mature stage of a mid-latitude cyclone. So what I would do is I would try, like I said, to label each stage. But in this case, what tells us that this is a mature stage of a mid-latitude cyclone? You have your two fronts, right? You have the first front, which touches the ground, and the second one. So we know with this, we have our mature mid-latitude cyclone. So in labeling this, the first front that you see on your left, that is labeled A, it will be your cold front. And for B, you will have your warm front. And then for C, this is the direction. Remember, these are weather storms that migrate. Once they develop and they become mature, they start to move. And remember, they affect our weather system or weather in South Africa in June. Not June, but in winter. So in winter time, this is whereby they dominate our weather. So as they move through the country, or as they develop in the southern hemisphere, they move from west towards the east. So those are some of the characteristics. So in studying this topic, remember, you must know the formation. How does it develop from the formative stage to the occlusion stage? Be able to draw the stages, be able to label and also give a brief description for each stage. That is very important. This is for mid-latitude cyclones. So remember, they move from west towards the east in the southern hemisphere. So at A, like I said, this is your cold front, and then at B is your warm front. And then C is your direction from west to east. And then C, D is the type of clouds. Remember, both fronts, they will have precipitation, but it is different from both fronts. So in cold front, you will have the heavy precipitation, which results from these humorous clouds that we see here, which we will label later. And then for warm front, which is D, these are your nimbostrato clouds. So these are the type of clouds that you would see in both the cold front and the warm front. So the first one is rather the D, it is your nimbostrato clouds, and then your at G, or rather towards closer to the cold front, you would see your cumulonimbus clouds. And remember, these cumulonimbus clouds are responsible for heavy rain. Remember, also in tropical cyclones, we see quite your clouds that are forming or that are associated with tropical cyclones are these type of clouds. And then for E, you have the sector behind the cold front, and you must know the type of sector. So the type of sector behind the cold front we know is the cold sector, and then that was E, and then F is the warm sector. So remember, also for this topic, you must know different types of, or rather you must be able to describe the weather in each sector. So like I said, at E is your cold sector, and at F is your warm sector, and then G is your type of air. So at F, because it is the warm sector, we know the dominant type of wind or of air in F is your warm air. So that is very important for you to note in summary when we summarize these types of this type of topic. So let's go to questions quickly. It says 1.1.1, identify the fronts labeled A and B. We said A is your cold front and B is your warm front. So that will be your answers. A for warm front, how you see your cold front. How do you see your cold front? It is sort of curved with those spiky things. We know that that is a cold front, and then your warm front, it will be a straight line that starts from the bottom or from the ground, and it will consist of those round features. So that is a warm front. And then 1.1.2 says, give the general direction of the movement of the mid-latitude cyclone indicated at C. So we know in the southern hemisphere, if they are moving from left to right, we know they are moving from the west towards the east. So the general direction will be from west towards the east. And then 1.1.3, name the cloud type labeled D. So as I said, the type of clouds that you would see at D, which are associated with your warm front, it will be your nimbostrato clouds. But for those that are closer to your cold front, are your cumulonimbus clouds. And then 1.1.4, it says identify the sector of the mid-latitude cyclones at E and F respectively. So at E, you have your cold front, your cold sector, whereas at F you have your warm sector. So that is about that. Let's go to the next question. It says there, state one characteristics, 1.1.5, state one characteristics or stick of air mass at G with regards to temperature. So let's see what happens at G. So at G, as you can see, G is in the warm sector. So here's G over here. It is in the warm sector. So this means the type of temperature or the temperature which you would experience if you're in this sector is very warm temperatures. So that is all about this question. So um it was that summary. So it's important to note what happens in both the sectors, like I said. So behind the cold sector or behind the cold front, you find the cold sector with cold air that is pushing towards the warm sector. So when this happens, remember when you talk about the occlusion stage, when you describe the occlusion stage, this cold sector is pushing the cold front and trying to close up the warm sector. So when that happens, as you reach the occlusion, this means that your cold air will entirely, in the occlusion stage, will entirely lift up the warm air within the warm sector. Why we say that? We know that the two different air masses, cold air and warm air, consist of different denses. So the cold air is more denser than the warm air. So when the cold air is pushing the cold front towards, or rather trying to close the warm sector, it will entirely force the warm air to be uplifted. And then when you have your warm air that is completely uplifted to the atmosphere, what happens is that you would have these cumulonimbus clouds forming, and later on you will have the heavy rain. So that is all about this revision, or a summary of revision looking into a mature mid-latitude cyclone. So let me check if you guys have questions in um for me. Let's see. Okay. Mm, this is for grade E12. You're looking into grade 12. This person is asking if this is for grade what? So this is for grade 12. Grade 12 revision. Matrix are writing their paper next week. So the next question says, please, I want to study mapping on paper plan. Mapping on paper plan, you need to have access to maps for you to be able to study the maps. So maybe you can ask your teacher to borrow you the maps, because for you to practice your map skills, you would need your maps. So talk to your teacher to borrow you a map so that you can practice. Please, Tapelo, Jade says, please, Tap, can you make a video on GIS? This thing of data manipulation and integration. Okay, I will look into that. But time has gone really now. It is really gone. But I'll try and check what if I can make a video on data manipulation integration. So those are the questions which I had. So let's have this session for another topic, maybe at 6 o'clock. So I will have these lives daily up until we write paper 2. So yeah, I'll see you at 6 o'clock sharp tonight, and then let's look into the different topic. Have your questions ready, and you can ask in them, and then I'll try my best to answer those questions.